Mr. Bullard, are you ready to proceed?
I will be in about a minute and a half, Your Honor. I just need to get something in front of me.
All right, you're 10 minutes late.
I apologize, Your Honor. It was put on my calendar at the wrong time, but that's entirely my fault.
The court will call again 24-CH-027 Gomez versus the Warden. Mr. Bullard, are you ready to proceed on behalf of your client, Mr. Gomez?
I am, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Daniels, are you ready to proceed on behalf of the Warden?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Bullard, if you'll give me a brief outline of the grounds that Mr. Gomez seeks his habeas on, I'd appreciate it.
In brief, Your Honor, the issue in this case is that subsequent to Mr. Gomez's trial and conviction for armed robbery, evidence came to light tending to exculpate him, which his lawyers sought to present at his motion for new trial hearing, but which they, for procedural reasons, could not successfully do. That procedural failure to properly present the exculpatory evidence is what we're assigning error as ineffective assistance of counsel to, and that's why we subpoenaed the lawyers here to testify today and lay the grounds for that.
All right. Do you have witnesses that you're going to call?
I do, sir. There are three here today. I have B.C. Chopra, Raina Nadler, and Eddie Campuzano. I think it may be best if we go ahead and invoke the rule.
All right. I'll swear the witnesses. If your name was called, if you'll raise your right hands for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I so swear.
I do.
I do.
All right, let the record reflect that all have taken the oath. All right, I'm going to ask that y'all remove yourself from the screen. And who are you going to call first, Mr. Bullard?
I'm going to call Mr. Chopra first, Your Honor. I think he'll be the fastest.
All right. All right, Mr.
Your
Shepard,
Honor, did I
go ahead.
unmute and turn the screen off? Your Honor, I just want to clarify. Do you want us to just unmute and turn our screen off?
That'll be fine. Is that all right with you, Mr. Bullard?
I think my only concern is that they not be able to hear each other's testimony, so I guess we'll need to do something to get them back on, but I can call or email if as soon as between witnesses, if that's acceptable.
All right, that's fine with me. Ma'am, is that all right?
So I guess
Yes, Your Honor. As long as Mr. Bullard has my cell phone, he can just text me and I will be sitting right here waiting.
Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you. All right. Good morning, Mr. Chopra. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine. Thank you. How are you?
All right. Would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
My name is Bimal Chopra Jr., BIMALCHOPRAJR.
Hold on just a minute. My court reporter is trying to get my attention. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
He's not been sworn.
I swore them all.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
I
I
did.
missed that, Judge. I'm sorry.
All right, she was concerned I hadn't sworn the witnesses, but I had sworn all of them. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry about that, Mr. Chopra. You just stated and spelled your name. I assume, can I ask if the court reporter got that part? Or?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, Mr. Chopra, are you a barred lawyer in the state of Georgia?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 1994.
And could you give us a brief snapshot of your practice since 1994?
So I've been in private practice for 30 years, since 1995. The first 10 years I did a general practice, country lawyer kind of thing, domestic, criminal, civil of any nature. If it came in the door, we took it. Since time, I've done exclusively criminal defense. I do not have a specialty within the criminal sphere, from murder to jaywalking.
And in the course of your practice, did you come to represent the petitioner, Marco Gomez?
Yes, sir. He hired me.
Do you recall about how long ago that was?
No, sir. I apologize. I received your subpoena, and I've not.
Yeah.
My notes don't go back that far.
No, I understand. I say if the record reflected that it was a 2009 indictment, do you have a sense of how long before the trial that you might have been retained?
I recollect being with Mr. Gomez for the entire process. So prior to trial, a minimum of 3 months. I was able to have numerous conversations with him, as well as obtain the discovery in a timely manner, do some follow-up investigation.
And I'll say, Mr. Gomez, Mr. Chopra, what I want to get here from you is really background on the case and your impressions of it. So I'm just.
Yes, sir.
So could you tell the court, or advise the court what the nature of the original case was, and, just what the nature of the original case was, and the sort of what you understood the state's evidence to be, to the best of your recollection?
Yes, sir. I understood it to be that a victim and his family, I believe they lived in a mobile home in the Marietta city limits. The victim had borrowed some money from another gentleman and horrifically been the subject of an armed robbery on 2 separate occasions. He borrowed money, that money was stolen. He borrowed money, that money was stolen. The allegation, I believe, and I truly apologize, Your Honor, if I get any of this wrong, but I believe 3 masked men approached the trailer. There were descriptions of the men, height, certain tattoos, types of weapons, not with great specificity, but types of weapons. They forced entry into the trailer of the case in chief, threatened everyone therein. There were children present that gave the most descriptive identifications and made off with the money. I don't believe that anyone was physically harmed. I'm certain they were emotionally harmed. There was testimony to that effect. The most credible evidence that came out at trial and in the multiple police reports was from the children, because they had been raised in the United States and spoke English, whereas the victim and his wife were immigrants that I don't believe spoke any English. Telling were descriptive marks on one of the weapons in particular. There was some allegation of essentially an orange, like hunting orange spray paint on one of the weapons. I cannot remember, and I apologize, if it was a shotgun or a crossbow, but it was particularly vivid. Equally vivid, however, were the physical descriptions that one of the young ladies gave. All the men were wearing masks, but it did not cover above their nose. She was able to identify a perpetrator that held a firearm or weapon with the orange paint, I believe, is having a teardrop tattoo or some other type of distinctive marking on their person or on their body. At trial, she testified to the same. However, Mr. Gomez did not have that identifying mark, nor did he match the height or complexion. I believe she said it was a dark-skinned male that was holding that particular firearm.
All right. So I guess that sort of that it gets us toward what we were, where I was going with this. Oh, could you tell us what Mr. Gomez's defense was at trial? How you pursued his defense?
So the firearm in question with the orange spray painting was distinctive. There was a photograph, I believe, of Mr. Gomez standing with his father and other family members. Pardon me. In that photograph, the same weapon was being held up just as you would in any hunting photo. And that particular firearm was actually found in the closet in the home where Mr. Gomez resided with his wife, children, father, and other extended family members. And the point at trial was the identification of the individual brandishing that firearm was not Mr. Gomez. Mr. Gomez, particular dimensions, height, weight, skin tone, were not identified by any of the victims that had a lucid recollection. I focused on the fact that this appeared to be gang-related. Mr. Gomez was not in a gang. It appeared to have some relevance to the man that was loaning the money, potentially telling whomever that they could go get it from this family because they would have had this large sum of money. On the eve of trial, I recall distinctly standing in the hallway, and Mr. Gomez's wife indicated to me, my Spanish is incomplete. I believe she did not speak English, but indicating to me that her brother was actually the culprit. And then I was placed on a cell phone call with an individual that was purportedly her brother who admitted doing this crime, but he was in Mexico. This information came at the 11th hour. I had no way to either confirm or corroborate or put that individual under subpoena. One of the co-defendants to this case, I believe, had previously accepted responsibility. Now, if I'm saying that incorrectly, I truly apologize, Your Honor. I'm getting old.
And Mr. Cho, it's helpful, and I know that I expect Mr. Daniels will introduce the trial transcript. So if there are any variances, we can go there. But it's the general approach to the defense and what you did that I'm interested in.
Thank you. The link between my client and the other co-defendant, I believe there were two, but the other co-defendant that was there was that they were friendly or that they had a relationship, a knowledge of one another. It was not that they were comrades, brothers in arms, related by blood or marriage, anything like that. And that once I was able to establish, I believe the co-defendant was actually very friendly with this brother-in-law, purportedly in Mexico, who had just gotten through telling me that he had done it. Now, it was my impression, unfortunately, that either the wife or Mr. Gomez, for some code of silence, I don't know. It was my impression, however, that this information wasn't shared with me in a more timely manner, perhaps to protect them or because they thought that I was such a stellar attorney, I was going to pull a rabbit out of a hat. I don't really know. But as a professional, and I love my job and I take it very seriously, I certainly felt some of the wind going out of my sails because this was Cobb County in the 2000s, and the jurors were extremely conservative, which is a privilege to work in a jurisdiction like that. But with the horrifying allegations of this family being victimized twice in a extremely scary manner, and my client having been identified because of the weapon in the closet, that the police had gotten information that had something to do with it, and then it was matched, so to speak, by the victim's statements and ultimate testimony, I was certainly not carrying a gun with enough bullets.
I understand. All right, so Mr. Chopra, prior to that phone call with the brother of Mr. Gomez's wife, did you take any steps to identify who the other perpetrator might have been, if not your client?
Sir, other than knowing full well that based on the victims, and I'm going to include the children because they were victims, but based on the victims' identification, it did not match Mr. Gomez. And so we did not have an alibi other than Mr. Gomez was home with his wife. It was going to have to be a straight up identification case.
I understand. Your Honor, that's what I needed from Mr. Chopra. I'm happy to pass him to Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Daniels, do you have any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
Mr. Chopra, you had conversations with Mr. Gomez and obviously in preparing for trial,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and at no point in time he identified this brother up until this 11th hour.
No, sir, I cannot say. Sir, and again, I don't want to mislead you. I don't believe he identified him by name. He might have identified him like in some morphic structure. Hey, it wasn't me. It was this other guy that had been at the house. I'm not trying to be mealy-mouthed. I always knew that Mr. Gomez had not done it, but I did not know who had done it, if that helps answer that.
Sure. Based on the call that you were privy to on the eve of trial or during trial, would the person who allegedly actually committed the crime be someone who was known to Mr. Gomez?
Yeah, I believe so, sir.
Okay, that's all I have.
And may I,
Sure.
can I expound on that or?
Sure.
I did reach out to the gang unit. Again, I've done this in Cobb County my whole career. I know everybody. I communicated, I think the prosecuting attorney was Henry Thompson, who's now a sitting Superior Court judge here. We had a very long discussion about it. I dragged in the gang unit coordinator for the Cobb County Police. I gave them that information as well. I asked them if they would be able to help me like with a photograph or something of that nature. And I'm not faulting them, but that information was not forthcoming. We were literally on trial.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Anything on redirect,
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Bullard?
No, sir. May Mr. Chopra be excused?
He's excused. Mr. Daniels?
No objection.
He's excused. Thank you for your time.
Judge, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Bullard, you call your next witness. Who you want?
I'd like to call Ms. Nadler back, Your Honor, if you give me 1 second to get her on the phone, and I will, if you'll let me mute myself, I'll call her. Your Honor, Ms. Nadler will be right with us.
All right, very good. Mr. Naylor, I remind you, you have been sworn. You may proceed with your direct examination, Mr. Bullard.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Nadler, would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you because I had the volume.
It's all right. Excuse me. Would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Absolutely. Raina Nadler, R-A-I-N-A-N-A-D-L-E-R.
All right, and Ms. Nadler, are you a barred attorney in the state of Georgia?
I am.
And how long have you been so barred?
2001.
And could you give us an overview of the nature of your practice from 2001 to now?
Yes. For 2 years, I was a traffic court public defender. For 2 years, I worked for the Attorney General's office doing habeas. After that, I worked for the Cobb County Circuit Defender's Office part-time. I led a guardianship program since 2015. I think this is the only case I continue to work on, pretty much criminal. I have transitioned to guardianship, probate, estate planning, and I do only that since, as I said, aside from finishing off this case.
All right. So I guess do you know about when you took this case?
I don't remember exactly. I know it was on after the motion for new trial had been filed by, Mr. Chopra, I call him BC. So yeah, after that, I was appointed by the Circuit Defender's Office. At that point, I was handling, I don't think all of their appeals at that point, but a vast majority of their appeals.
Okay. And could you give us a sense of when you took on Mr. Gomez's case, how many appellate matters that you had handled, just roughly?
From both ways?
Sure, both ways. Yeah.
50, 100?
No, I understand. I don't know. I can't tell you mine either. So, in any event, could you give us a sense of when you take on, or at the time that you were taking on criminal matters for appeal, or what your process was, how you approached it, and sort of, not this case in particular, but generally what your practice with regards to appeals in state court in Georgia were?
My
was.
practice, oh, sorry.
It's
My
all right.
practice, yeah, my practice would be that I would find out if there was a transcript. If there was not a transcript, I would order the transcript. I would meet with my client, usually over a video if I couldn't bring them in. I would talk to trial counsel, and after I had, one addition, I forgot. I also worked for the Conflict Defender's Office doing appeals for Fulton County. I didn't want someone to say, you had other cases.
That's fine.
So, and theirs were a little different than Cobb's. Cobb was easier to get to the court reporters. I would let my client by letter know what I had found and what issues I thought were the strongest. And then I would file a new motion for new trial with the detailed issues that I thought were strongest. And then there would be a hearing, and that's the general process.
Sure. All right. And I guess, did you go through that process with Mr. Gomez's case?
I did. It was a little slightly different because his case was parallel with Mr. Salgado's case, and Mr. Salgado already had counsel involved. And so we were kind of working in tandem in some parts. And so some of the discussions would be, here's what I think, here's what you think, and we would pull together. And then his court-appointed counsel switched. He switched to Mr. Harbin, and so I worked with him. With Mr. Gomez, I filed the motion for new trial. It was a case where I actually requested expert fees, which I did not normally do. I asked for an investigator. If I remember correctly, the judge said that the DA's office should investigate and would get back to me, which was not what I was asking for. We met with the DA's office multiple times. I felt that there was clearly new evidence that Mr. Gomez didn't have these witnesses either available or know about these witnesses. And Eddie Campenzano, who was a gang detective, had a CI. And so I really wanted to find out the CI.
Ms. Nadler, let me, we're diving into a lot, so let me break this up a little. No, it's okay, but let me break this up a little. All right, so generally with we've talked generally about your approach to the case. Now let's talk about, so you mentioned you asked for fees to hire an expert. What was your reason for hiring an expert or asking to hire an expert?
We wanted an investigator to investigate. There was the CI. We wanted an investigator to try to, I don't want to say collect the CI, get information from the CI and have a conversation with them and see what information they had. And because it was a gang issue, that was not something I was going to go out and investigate myself.
I understand. All right. So could you give us a sense of how it was that you came to think that there was a CI, a confidential informant, who might have information in this case?
Eddie Compenzano, Detective Compenzano, he got in touch with, I can't remember whether, I'll be honest with you, it was many years ago. I can't remember whether it was myself or Carter Clayton, who was Reverend Salgado, and let us know that he had talked to this confidential informant, and it was after trial, and that the confidential informant might have some very clear evidence that Mr. Gomez and Mr. Salgado were not involved.
All right. Did you have a sense of what that evidence was?
Yes. Do you want me to
Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Please.
Just want to make sure.
That's all right.
Our understanding was that the CI was involved in one of the two robberies, that not in the house, but involved, and that when Eddie Compenzano, because he was a CI, showed him the pictures of Mr. Gomez and Mr. Salgado, he said, "Who are these guys?" And he said, "What do you mean, who are these guys?" And he said, "They weren't involved in this burglary. They had the wrong guys."
And once you received that information, what did you seek to do with it?
That's part of when I looked at trying to get an investigator. I wanted to bolster that. Obviously, having Eddie, I don't know how to say this, having someone on the side that should be saying, "Let's get convictions." Eddie Compenzano saying that that he felt there was a mistake, that he thought his CI could exonerate. I felt like we had a very good case. And so I asked for the investigator. We did a lot of, we did some research. I also filed, again, I don't know whether Mr. Harbin or I did this, but I also filed a motion to seal the courtroom once I did have information about the CI, to try to have the CI able to come into court, present testimony, and then feel safe.
And what was the result of that motion?
Yeah, I can't remember if he sealed the courtroom or not. I believe I can't remember if the judge did. What I do remember is that the CI was talked to. As I said, what happened was the judge wanted the DA's office to do further investigation. The DA's office basically said, "We don't think this is strong enough for a new trial." We asked to question him. I know the main issue was when he got on the stand, he was testifying. The DA's office all of a sudden started talking about his rights, and the judge stopped him from testifying and had a different court-appointed attorney have time to go back and talk to him about what he was going to present.
All right. And what happened after that?
The CI didn't present anything.
Okay. And did the CI invoke his?
Yes, he invoked his Fifth Amendment.
Okay.
The attorney obviously had said to him, stop but then we decided that we would try to get it in through Eddie Compenzano.
All right. And how did you go about or I guess, let me get into some specifics here. Did you attempt to question the CI further once he invoked his privilege against self-incrimination?
I don't have the trial,
It's okay.
the counsel. I don't remember. I do remember that he invoked. I remember it was another circuit defender. So we might have asked a couple of questions, but I don't remember.
All right. All right. And All right. Okay. So do you recall whether you asked him specifically about the misidentifications and his basis for them, regardless of whether he answered? Do you recall whether you asked?
I don't. I could try to find the transcript. I don't have it, but
okay.
actually I said that I don't have the transcript.
And I know we'll introduce the transcript later. It'll resolve that issue.
The other issue, Mr. Buller, just so you
Sure.
and the judge understands, because Mr. Harbin and I again joined, I also don't remember who was asking who, like, I don't know if the CI was Charlie's. I believe I was supposed to question, or I questioned Eddie, but I'm not even sure about that. So we sort of took turns in terms of the main questions.
All right. So we'll move on to after the CI invoked and you couldn't get the information you were after from him. You said you questioned Detective Campuzano.
Correct.
So how did you, well, I guess first, what information did you seek to elicit from Detective Campuzano?
The testimony that the CI would have given, that, you know, he saw the pictures, that he was part of the, part of the first gang, I think it was the first robbery, that, you know, that he didn't know who they were, that they weren't involved. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, if I'm supposed to say this. And I don't know if Eddie Campuzano will tell you this, but he had a relationship with the court. So I felt that his testimony would be, if we could get past, you know, hearsay and all that, his testimony would be believed even if the CI didn't testify.
All right. So let me ask, what arguments was there a hearsay objection?
Yes.
All right. And what argument did you make in support of admitting Detective Campuzano's testimony?
I haven't done criminal law so long, and this case is really old.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't actually remember that. I know it came up, we brought it up again on appeal when I went to the Court of Appeals. But I don't remember that specifically, what we specifically argued in the courtroom.
Okay. All right. And if there had been an argument, had been a basis for admitting, or I guess, what was the trial court's ruling, if you recall, on the hearsay objection?
I did go back and look at the Court of Appeals and the order and some of the previous documents. I remember he ruled against us on the hearsay. My memory is he let us present it all and took it under, like, we got through the testimony, but he ruled against us.
All right. And do you recall the basis for his ruling against you?
Hearsay.
Okay. All right. Now, do you recall what issues you raised on appeal?
We raised a jury trial. I mean, is it okay if I have that with me?
I have no objection to your refreshing your recollection with it as long as Mr. Daniels doesn't.
No objection.
Thank you. I know, because I already know we raised a jury issue. We raised the newly discovered evidence issue. And in there, we talked about the hearsay issue and the testimony. And we raised, I don't remember what jury issue, but there was erroneous instructions we felt were given during deliberations. I think there was 2 different erroneous instructions based on jury questions.
All right. Do you recall what arguments you made in support of the Superior Court's or the trial court's that the trial court should have considered the hearsay testimony?
Give me a minute. I don't remember what we said. Not finding it, and I don't actually remember.
It's all right. I think we'll introduce that too. It's fine. All right. If there had been, okay, Ms. Nadler, if there had been an argument that would have justified the admission of the hearsay and the trial court's considering it, is there a reason you would not have made it?
No.
Okay. Now, did you ever consider asking that perhaps moving that the CI be given use immunity for his testimony, given how central it was to your claims?
I would have thought we did. I don't actually, again, I don't remember doing that. If I remember correctly, and this could be incorrectly remembering it, he was, that robbery and some of the other things had gotten him to a CI, so we didn't feel like he was in he was in the community, he was working, he wasn't part of a gang, and we all felt like he was, our side felt like he was not going to be prosecuted or gone after in any way. So I know for a fact that we were, I don't want to say angry is the right word, angered by the fact that the DA knew all along where we were going and waited till the CI was on the stand to all of a sudden bring up that he might have a reason to plead the fifth. Because we had been talking to the DAs, for months. And so for them to all of a sudden go, oh, wait, he needs to be protected when he's already on the stand seemed very disingenuous.
I understand. And subsequent to that, did you consider moving for use immunity for his testimony?
That sounds familiar, but I really don't remember.
All right. And if you had not, would there have been any reason not to?
No, we should have if we didn't.
Okay. Your Honor, I think that's all I have from Ms. Nadler at the moment. May I have a moment?
Examination, Mr. Daniels?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Nadler, can you walk me through what your normal process was when you were assigned an appeal in terms of preparing and identifying issues to raise?
I would obviously ask my client what issues he felt were there. I felt that was right to do. I would talk to the trial attorney and I would comb the transcript.
And is that generally what you believe you did in Mr. Gomez's case?
No, I definitely did. And as I said, this was an unusual situation because Salgado's attorney also was doing the same thing. So I had two of us.
And with respect to the issues that you did raise on appeal or in the motion for new trial and on appeal, were those the issues that you believed had the most likelihood of success?
I think they should have succeeded. So yes. So yeah, those were the issues I thought were the best issues.
And do you recall whether or not, when you were at the motion for new trial stage, if there was some discussion by the state with the confidential informant that he may be subject to prosecution in other jurisdictions for things unrelated to the armed robberies here?
I do. but not until we got the CI on the stand.
That's all the questions I have, Judge.
Anything on redirect, Mr. Bullard?
Two things, Your Honor. Ms. Nadler, in your arguments to the Court of Appeals, do you recall whether you focused on the trial court's rejection of the newly discovered evidence claim generally, or on specifically whether it had abused its discretion in excluding the hearsay testimony from its consideration?
I think we focused on both. I know we said something, we definitely brought up the hearsay because that was sort of the crux. But yes, I think we raised both because Timberlake, one of our arguments I know was on Timberlake, and I remember this, I saw it, but I remember it, was that motion for new trial was different than an extraordinary motion for new trial. And so we tried a legal-based argument on that side related to Timberlake.
Okay. And second question, when you lost to the Court of Appeals, did you petition for a writ of certiorari?
Absolutely, which was not my normal procedure.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything on?
That's all I have for you.
Anything on recross, Mr. Daniels?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Bullard, you can call your next witness.
All right, may Ms. Nadler be excused, Your Honor?
Is she free to go?
She is from the petitioner, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Thank you for your time, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. Petitioner calls Eddie Campuzano.
Mr. Campuzano,
He can still hear us. I may have to call him as well, Your Honor. So if you give me one moment, I can get him on the phone. Your Honor, Detective Campuzano will be right with us.
thank you. Detective, I'll remind you that you're under oath, okay? You may begin your direct examination, Mr. Bullard.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you state and spell your name for the record, please?
It's Edward Campuzano, EDWARD, CAMPUZANO.
And how are you employed?
Currently retired from cop PD, but as a reserve now, so I've been doing that since 2015. So currently still with the county.
And how long have you, or I guess, how long have you been in law enforcement?
Started in 1984, New York City Transit Police. Moved down here in 87 and been with cops since then.
And what's your rank?
Corporal at the time I retired.
Okay. And I guess what was your role? Did you hold any? I always mess this up. Did you hold any other titles with the police department?
The one time when I was working with the gang unit, we were, I guess, classified as investigators, not, so we're, gang investigators.
Okay. All right. So, in the course of your work with the Cobb Police Department, did you ever? Let me back up. Are you familiar with the robbery case that the petitioner Marco Gomez was tried or was prosecuted and convicted in?
Yeah, I was made aware of it. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yes.
All right. How did you become aware of it?
It was through my supervisor, who another supervisor was talking with a gentleman named Alex Gomez, who ran a tattoo shop in Kennesaw. So apparently this supervisor heard a story about a friend that was arrested and was charged with a home invasion and felt like the gang unit should be made aware of it. So he notifies my supervisor and he tells me, hey, I need you to go check into this information about a home invasion that occurred. And so he kind of gives me a little bit of the the activity that happened, what was done. And I tell him, I said, well, wait a minute. I said, that sounds like the CI that is currently right now with me and with the FBI gang task force, because I was assigned to that too. And I said, when this particular CI of mine was arrested by Cobb County on a separate charge for driving without a license or whatever, and I spoke with him in jail. I said, well, in order for me to help you to get out of jail, you'd have to give me something that I could give to the FBI, and they could probably give you, like a confident informant status and all that stuff, and you could help me. So he tells me the story about him being involved in a crew, in a home invasion, and he was only brought on because the original crew, one of the crew members had been arrested, and he wasn't there. So since he was close with a lot of these guys that I've known since juveniles and stuff like that, and now they're adults, he said that they asked him to come out to this particular home invasion, and that he would be the lookout, basically. So that's how he tells me the story. And I asked him, I said, well, do you know of any reports being made or anything? And he's like, nah, this is one of those home invasions that's done on local Paisa, the way they would refer to it, and say they're not gonna make any reports about it and all that stuff. So that's what got him in the door. That's how he became my CI. And he was also somebody I've known since he was like 14, 15 years old as a juvenile in the area. So we had established a good friendship, him and his family, his mom, who really was involved with him getting out off probation and all that stuff. And so anyway, I think I'm just rattling on.
No, it's fine. So I guess, did you ever have the opportunity to inquire of your CI about Mr. Gomez's involvement in this armed robbery?
Only after I get the information about all this stuff and I start kind of looking into it, right away, and I can't remember all the details, but I was able to pull up and again, just for the judge to understand, or, Cobb County has city municipalities within the county, and apparently this particular incident happened in the city of Marietta. So it involved just city of Marietta detectives, and I think they had a small unit that was dedicated to handling gangs and all that stuff. So like I said, now the information that's coming to me is outside of that jurisdiction. So we wouldn't have never had any kind of a way of knowing what had happened there. So when I do look into it a little bit and I find out that these two people, and I'm almost sure I even went to Alex Gomez's business, and he gave me the name of his friend and the people that were charged with it. So I pull up their booking photos and take their booking photos to where my CI was working outside of Cobb County. He was working in Fulton County at a restaurant. So when I have this meeting with him, and I also have our criminal analyst with me to just to be a witness there, and I ask him about the incident again, and he tells me again who's all involved, and then I show him the two pictures of the book-in photos of these two particular people, and one of them is Marcos. And I said, well, who are these guys? And he looks at them and he's like, I have no idea. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, definitely. And I was like, well, these two guys were charged with the home invasion that you were telling me no report was ever made. And so I said, I just need to keep you, he wasn't a right flight risk of any sort. So with all that being said and done, I just did follow up a little bit more. I did find out who the detective for Marietta was that had put the case together. So by the time I got involved and caught up with the detective in Marietta, he
Could you tell us who that was? I'm sorry to cut you off. Could you tell us who the detective in Marietta was?
I think it was Detective Shane Merritt was his name. And so by the time I caught up with him and caught up with everything, the trial had been over. The two gentlemen had been already convicted, so I was like really at the tail end of everything. So I did have 2 meetings with Detective Merritt on the side, just friend to friend, cop to cop, whatever you want to, sorry,
Sorry.
whichever way you want to look into it. And I told him, I said, hey, I got somebody, a CI that could identify the actual crew that was involved. The only thing is that my CI was part of it, but, but he's willing to testify and all that stuff. And I don't know if anybody wants to hear what his answer was, but if his answer was anything other than what he gave me, we wouldn't all be here at this meeting right now. But he was satisfied with the way the trial turned out, and he was not going to do anything outside of that.
After speaking to Detective Merritt, did you do anything else with the information from your CI?
No, that was it. Like I said, Shane Merritt held he held the key to reopening up the case, or, trying to at least, do his part in saying, well, if we have information about who these other people are, and I think I was able to find 2 or 3 out of them. 1 or 2 of them had been scheduled to be deported and all that stuff on a separate charge. So I found him in ICE custody at the time, and he basically said, yeah, what about it? It doesn't matter. I'm out of here. So, so I did find the crew for the most part, but the 1 or 2, one other one was still in the Cobb area. But like I said, it was not my case. It wasn't our case. It was a city case, and all we could do would offer our assistance with it and all that stuff. But the detective did not want to reopen that case.
All right. Did you ever reach out to the district attorney's office about it?
No, I didn't think that it was, everything was going to be determined on the detective. The detective would have to be the one that initiated the investigation. It would be on him, not so much me. I don't, so, so, yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
And did you ever speak with Mr. Gomez's appellate lawyer about this information?
I know I was, I guess, subpoenaed or brought in on 2 attempts of an appeal and all that stuff. Her name kind of, I remember one time.
Would it have been Ms. Nadler?
Could have been, yeah. I know there's a female attorney there, and she represented Marcos at the time, and and it was the same thing. I was bringing the same information to her about it. And so, I was just there to provide any assistance I could with the CI. I brought the CI with me, so.
Okay. All right. All right. And did you end up testifying at the motion for new trial hearing?
I believe it testified again about how I became involved in it on a peripheral, and I brought the CI, and I don't know exactly what had transpired there, but at one time, the CI was in an isolation kind of room and all that stuff. And when I got done talking about my part of the case, or who I, explained to the judge who I was and all that stuff, and I find, I guess the ADA would be Mike Carlson at the time, and his investigator, Charlie Lida, in there, who I've both known, for a long time in the gang unit kind of stuff. And apparently my CI was kind of shaken up because he asked me to step outside, and I did. And he was basically saying that they were kind of intimidating him, saying that if he was to testify, that they would probably charge him with it because, since he was involved in all that stuff. And I kind of got a little upset with them, saying, he's here on good faith and he's going to testify. He's trying to help. And I got the feeling like they were trying to protect the case, protect the detective, didn't want to open up another can of worms, in a sense, and all that stuff. So after that, it's kind of, like I said, shocked about the way that this particular aide, Mike Carlson, was behaving towards the whole CI, towards the whole case.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned a little bit ago that you had tracked down whom you believed to be the actual crew based on what you're seeing. All right. Did you, when you were doing this work, happen to have the physical descriptions that were testified to at trial or from the original reports of the robbers, the masked robbers who did the work?
No, no, I was going solely based on the name that the CI had provided, because he knew them by street name and somewhat real names and all that stuff. So that's how I collected that information. I didn't, like I said, I didn't really read the case because it's a Marietta case, so I didn't have access to that. So, but Detective Merritt, when we did meet, we did exchange that information. He had the names of the people that were involved and all that stuff, and he decided not to do anything with it, obviously, yeah.
I understand. All right. So, Investigator Campuzano, that's all I have. Thank you for being here this morning. I'm sure Mr. Daniels has some questions for you.
Tell me about Sir 13. What is it?
It's a Serenia gang out of California, mainly south of Bakersfield, being the drawing line in California. So it's a nationwide, nationally known gang, and the ones that I dealt with in Cobb County at first did not have direct ties to them, but eventually Sir 13 did bring in some representatives where they were required to pay dues and stuff like that. And I can tell you that from experience, a couple of people that I know that were claiming Sir 13 got in trouble when they did meet up with actual Sir 13 gang members in the area, so.
Sir 13 have, like many gangs, have a code of silence?
They have that code of silence, but they have, we wouldn't know anything about Sir 13 if there weren't any weak links or people willing to, give up that code of silence to be able to try to live a normal life. And there have been gang members of Sir 13 that have, wanted to get out of the gang and all that stuff. So it's like anything else. There's always a weak links within the gang.
And the victims of this home invasion, the Munoz family, you had described that it was sort of a typical type of robbery that members of the Sir 13 would have committed. Can you expound upon that?
I was not familiar with the family or their habits, whatever whatever business they conducted. The only explanation or the only description I got of that family was through the CI saying that the dad did have money and he was the one who would deal with either gang members or anybody at the time. So, but apparently the gang members, and not all, some of them that were in the crew were just, one was maybe Sir 13, the other one was LNS, I think was an LNS member. And so it was like a combination with that. So that was the only description that I got of the homeowner, not so much the family, the nucleus who was there, wife, kids, or whatever, but just the male in the house was the one that the crew was familiar with. And I don't know what capacity they were familiar with about money or whatever, but somehow they knew, because this was the second attempt that they went there, because the first time turned up nothing, according to the CI, even though he was not part of the original robbery, the first robbery. But the second time it was, and that's where they got money or stuff like that, according to the report.
In your experience, was it typical for a SIR 13 crew to use other gang members or non-gang members as part of the crew?
Yeah, like I said, California and other places that have established that type of gang, yeah, it's a more tight-knit group. But Georgia, Cobb, even talking with other gang investigators, throughout the metro area, as long as they claim under the umbrella of SIR 13, LNS, anybody that claimed 13 other than, Northsiders, Latin Kings and stuff like that. Yeah, they all kind of got along because most of them all went to school together. Most of them got on the same school bus, and it was just a preference. And so, yeah, for him to tell me, so and so was there, he SIR 13, so and so LNS, and it wasn't an unusual thing to say because they all hung out together.
In your experience, was it common for SIR 13 crews to hit a house of someone they knew?
On a retaliation, probably, but on this particular one with money being involved, this was kind of a new thing. That was for me, my experience. That was the first one I've heard of like that.
And you alluded to before that I think the CI told you it wasn't one that would have been reported. What would have been a reason it wouldn't have been reported?
I don't know. That was his opinion. I didn't really ask him. I don't know if there was any, I guess, for them to wear a mask, it would give me the impression that one or two of those people have dealt with this particular person, because how would they have known what this particular person had in his house and all that stuff? So yeah, like I said, it wasn't my investigation. I'm just going based on that one or two of these guys were heavily tatted and easy identifiers and all that stuff. So, but somehow one of them, two of them knew what was going on at that house, or they wouldn't have hit it. Because if it's in a trailer park, they hit the jackpot on their first try if they would just pick a trailer and let's get some money out of there. So apparently there was some previous knowledge about what was going on there.
Did Detective Merritt ever tell you that two of the victims identified Mr. Gomez?
No, he never went into details about anything about how all that came about. And the only thing that I did through my investigation, one of the members of the crew, the robbing crew, was Mr. Gomez's brother-in-law. And I had a warrant out for him too, but it was just kind of an unusual, like I said, all this was not to reopen the case, whatever. It was just for my, knowledge about what was going on. But, excuse me. But I can tell you right now that Gomez's wife at the time was really tight-lipped about giving up any information, especially that it involved her brother and all that stuff. So, but that's, that's where it went as far as that part of the case.
If you were investigating a case and you had two victims who positively identified somebody, that'd be pretty compelling evidence, right?
Well, yeah, if positively identifying them, through the lineup sheet, yes. But from what I'm understanding, this was all based on a tattoo, maybe one or two tattoos that were identified by some kids at the time, not so much by the adults. I'm not 100% sure about all that. But like I said, a lot of the gang members, SIR 13, Northside, LNS, anybody could have had basically a same tattoo in the same location, so I would have tried to at least try to figure out more about it and, not rely on the testimony of kids for my case.
That's all questions I have.
Anything on redirect, Mr. Bullard?
Investigator Campuzano, I know you said you'd spent several years with the gang unit for the Cobb Police. What, I guess, specialized gang training did you have in the course of that portion of your employment?
At the time, North Central, not North Central, Georgia Public Safety Training Center in Forsyth offered a gang class courses. So I took almost all the gang classes that were offered by the state, by the training center. And then I was part of the GGIA, which was the Georgia Gang Investigators Association. So I would go to their monthly meetings and learn about stuff, learn about other gang members, because gang members, had no boundaries. So some of my guys would end up in Gwinnett or DeKalb County and stuff like that. So I did the most I could. And on top of that, I would get involved with the Cobb County juvenile probation officers that were doing gang suppression programs and try to, see where they were coming from in a middle school age, going into high school, and all the relationships and all the friends that they had as far as gangs. So I was able, with the gang unit, we were able to solve a lot of, runaways, gang graffiti cases based on the rapport that we would build with juvenile probation, especially the gang suppression officers.
Now, I guess, could you give us an estimate of how many gang cases you worked for when you were for Cobb County?
At least 50 plus, if not more. So yeah,
Yeah. That's why I asked for an estimate.
yeah.
I guess, and what is the territorial jurisdiction of the Cobb County Police?
Basically, like the boundaries are all together. On the west side, I think it was Douglas and Paulding. On the north side would be Cherokee and Bartow. So that would be kind of, and then on the east side would be another Fulton County, Roswell, and then on the south end would be Fulton County again by. So I worked mainly Smyrna, Marietta area, outside of the city limits, Mableton area, and all that stuff. So yeah, a little bit of West Cobb at the time, not so much East Cobb. That was not. Yeah, so anyway, but yeah, East Cobb was different.
Yeah, fair. All right, but I guess what I'm getting at was, did your jurisdiction cover, your department's jurisdiction cover the entire county?
It did, yes.
And were you familiar in 2006, 2007, or what gangs were active in Cobb County in 2006, 2007?
We had gang members with some hybrid gangs, which would be hybrid would be a combination of gang members that would claim they were Bloods, Crips, or whatever, but they didn't fall. They didn't actually carry that same name. They would be called other names. And then, but on the Hispanic, the Latino gangs and all that stuff, for the most part, they did represent CERT 13. They did represent Northside 14. They did represent LNS, GTO. I think GTO was another one. So a few Latin Kings. So I guess my specialty or my particular one was all Hispanic gangs. Some of the other investigators that I work with, their specialty was, the Bloods, the Crips, anything that was not Hispanic.
Okay. And so from that experience, did you become, did you develop the experience to be able to identify members of CERT 13 or other Hispanic gangs by their either markings or tattoos or any kind of clothing that they wore, anything like that?
Yeah, at the time, they were not shy about wearing their colors and all that stuff. So over the years that they realized that they made themselves targets by wearing that stuff, they started to curb their appearances and all that stuff. But yeah, for the most part, anybody that was on probation I made sure I knew who they were and they knew who I was and got involved with the family. I bilingual too, so I was able to talk to the families that didn't know English. And I would always leave them my phone number. So I would say, Junior is acting up and he's on probation. He leaves the house. Just give me a call and I'll get out there and all that stuff. So I did, the unit did a really good job trying to stay focused on the family, and the family helped the community. So if we were able to control that, curb that, in our opinion, that was going to curb a lot of the gang activity in Cobb.
Yeah. And so, and also from the same experience, did you have at least a sense, or not a sense, but did you keep a database or sort of a working list of known gang members?
I kept files in there, can't really say if we kept a database because of what was going on back then at the time. But we all did keep, files of our own way of knowing, who they were, how they were doing, what's their status and all that stuff. And I kept track of them.
Yeah. So the members of the robbery crew that your CI identified for you and you tracked down, did you have any reason to think that they might have been members of SIR 13?
Yeah, like some one or two of them were. One of them that was deported was it was somebody unknown to me. But and then another one I believe was from the Gwinnett County, and I believe he claimed LNS and all that stuff. So I knew who he was. I knew him by name. His name had surfaced on several meetings, but somehow he was able to connect with my guys in the area and all that stuff.
And other than in this case, the one that we've been talking about today, were you familiar with Marco Gomez from any other investigation?
No, I was not.
That's all I have on redirect, Your Honor.
All right, anything on recross, Mr. Daniels?
No, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness excused?
He can be from the petitioner, Your Honor.
Any objection, Mr. Daniels?
No objection.
Thank you for your time, sir. Call your next.
Oh, you're welcome.
Call your next
You're welcome.
witness, Mr. Bolden.
Petitioner rests, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Daniels, do you have any evidence?
Your Honor, I would tender some documentary evidence. However, Mr. Bullard made a comment earlier that I think he's anticipating me putting the entire trial record in. I can obtain the portions that I am missing because I do not have the complete trial record. I do have the briefs and opinion filed in the Court of Appeals.
Well, you submit what evidence you want to submit, and, if Mr. Bullard's hadn't submitted it, that's on him.
Your Honor, I would submit Respondent's Exhibit A, which is the briefs and opinion filed in A18A0179, the direct appeal in Mr. Gomez's case.
Any objection, Mr. Bullard?
No, Your Honor.
All right, submit it without objection. Anything else?
I have nothing further at this time, Your Honor.
All right, anything in rebuttal, Mr. Bullard?
Your Honor, since Mr. Daniels, my experience has been that the AG's office has presented the entire trial record.
Mr. Bullard, do you have anything in rebuttal?
Your Honor, I would ask to, no, not in rebuttal. I would only ask to hold the record open so we could get the rest of the trial evidence, or the rest of the trial transcript.
Mr. Bullard, that's, the way I understand the law, that was on you to have present today. I'm not going to hold the record open.
I understand, Your Honor.
All right, anything further, Mr. Bullard?
No, Your Honor, we just asked for a reasonable time to brief the case after the transcript from this hearing is prepared.
All right, it's my practice that I give you, the petitioner's counsel, 30 days after you receive the transcript in this matter. And then Mr. Daniels will have 15 days to file a response, please. The evidence in this matter is closed, and as soon as you get the transcript, the court will be looking for your brief within 30 days. All right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. All right, that'll conclude this matter.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
You are. Mr. Gomez, if you'll tell the folks at the facility that I need Mr. Robbins.
Okay.
Judge Howard, are you ready for Robbins?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Court calls position number 2 on its calendar today, 25 CH027, Spencer Robbins versus the Warden. You're Mr. Robbins?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, if you'll be kind enough to raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. Are you ready to proceed, Mr. Robbins?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Daniels, are you ready to proceed on behalf of the warden?
Your Honor, we are ready to proceed with respect to the motion to dismiss, which is what the NICI was on. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. You may proceed.
Your Honor, we have filed a motion to dismiss Mr. Robbins' case as being premature. He is challenging his Effingham County Superior Court conviction and sentence for felony murder and other crimes following a jury verdict of guilty on or about June 8th of 2023. He currently has scheduled a motion for new trial with a hearing scheduled for November 5th, 2025 before the Honorable Judge Hube in Effingham
The way
County.
you pronounce it is Hubie.
It's our position that this action is premature because his conviction is not yet final, as there is a pending motion for new trial with a scheduled hearing already set.
All right, Mr. Robbins, what's your position in that regard?
Your Honor, I would like to say that I believe, to my understanding, I've already been to a motion for new trial September 20th, 2024. So I'm unaware of, I guess, the necessity of going to a motion for new trial a second time. At this point in time, basically what I was requesting is to hopefully file a continuance on this habeas, being that I wasn't able to get the information and subpoenas and things out until I had a court date, which I just received only a week ago for today.
Let me ask you this. Have you received a ruling on the motion for new trial that you are aware of and stated and that took place in September of 2024?
No, sir, Your Honor, I have not received a ruling.
All right. Well, that being said, did you go to the motion for new trial or were you present through WebEx?
Yes, Your Honor, I was bused back to Effingham County and went to the motion for new trial. I believe it was on September 20th.
And did you have counsel
I did. I had Miss Leslie Carden, which was my court-appointed appellate lawyer.
And have you heard from her in regards to the ruling?
That is another issue that I'd like to, I guess, let you know about is I contacted her last week about what is going on here, and she basically informed me that I have a new court-appointed appellate lawyer assigned to me, and I haven't heard from him. I had a lot of issues with Miss Carden as my appellate lawyer prior because I had sent out.
I can't resolve those. All right,
Okay.
it sounds to me that your case is still pending in the Superior Court of Effingham County. And as a result of that, your habeas is not for what we call right, meaning that until your the trial court has completed its rulings and you have taken what appellate action you're going to take on that, the trial court's rulings, you don't have a right to file this habeas. And as a result of that, I'm going to dismiss your habeas without prejudice. And that means that as soon as all the matters are resolved in the trial court, and if you do an appeal, they're completed in the appellate court, then you'll have the right, if filed timely, and you'll have 4 years from the time that any ruling in the trial court that finalizes your case is made, to do that.
Okay, yeah, I understand, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, very good. That'll conclude this matter. Mr. Daniels, if you'll get me an order.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Robbins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a nice day.
Same to you, sir. All right, that's it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Can you tell me how to pronounce that name one more time?
His name is Hubie.
Hubie.
Hubie, yeah, he's a great guy. He and I